What's going on, guys? Today we got a great episode with Polina Pompliano. In this conversation, we talk about Bitcoin. Why is the price doing so well? What's going on with the all-time new high hash rate? And also, what's going on with the tariffs? Why is the American economy still king on the global stage? And why does everyone want our debt, our equities, and our dollar? All that and much more in this conversation with Polina Pompliano. All right, Polina, what's the first topic?
Okay, Bitcoin's price is sitting at $118,000. We're currently watching the Bitcoin hash rate hit an all-time high as the asset primes itself for another move up. You recently went on CNBC and talked about this. Tell us more.
Well, first you got to ask yourself, does price lead hash rate or does hash rate lead Bitcoin's price? It's chicken or egg. There's different debates about that. But look, Bitcoin is a decentralized computer network that is measured the security of it by hash rate. And it is by far the most secure computer network in the world. If you were to take all of the computational power of Microsoft, Azure, Google Cloud, and Amazon's AWS, and collectively put those three things together, it would not be equivalent to 1% of the Bitcoin network. That's how big this network is in terms of size, scope, and strength. Now, the fact that Bitcoin's hash rate continues to hit all-time highs means that the strongest computer network in the world is getting stronger. And so that is part of the beauty, is this architectural design of Bitcoin and the incentive system for these miners. There's over $100 million a day that goes to miners right now in terms of that mining reward. And so they are being paid very well to continue to secure this network, which now is protecting $2+ trillion, like $2.3, $2.4 trillion worth of value. And so whenever you see kind of the size and scope of the Bitcoin network, one, you got to be in awe of the fact it's not just this like software-based asset that's got a ticker attached to it. And all the finance folks are like, ooh, it goes up, it goes down. Look how shiny it is. You have to remember that we have been able to collectively as a community build the strongest computer network in the world by a mile, and do so with no centralized coordination. There's no CEO, there's no board of directors, there's no management team, there's no marketing budget, there's no anything. And so people around the world found out about this idea of Bitcoin. They knew that there was an economic incentive, and they were able to go buy the hardware and equipment, find energy, plug themselves in, and start to mine Bitcoin. And in exchange for that, they helped create the strongest network in the world. And so I think that the fact that Bitcoin is sitting near all-time highs and hash rate is hitting new all-time highs tells you that Bitcoin is not just some speculative tool. It is actually something that has real-world conversion of energy into economic store of value kind of product feature or capabilities. And so from that standpoint, I think that Bitcoin is very, very well primed for not only price appreciation in the future, but more importantly, to remain secure. And if Bitcoin remains secure, then Bitcoin's value over a long period of time will probably become realized.
Well, and what's surprising to me is like this time Bitcoin is like holding steady at 118,000. There was no like crash after the all-time high.
Well, I mean, look, what you get is you get kind of these run-ups, you get some consolidation. Every once in a while, if you get a little overheated, right, you'll have these corrections 15 to 30%. Now, saying 15 to 30% to somebody in the traditional world,
yeah, that's a lot.
Insane, right? To the Bitcoin world, like that is a normal, healthy drawdown during during a bull market for Bitcoin. And so I think that the fact it's run up and kind of consolidated is telling you that there's a lot of demand, right? There's kind of this persistent bid in the market. Now, two things I'm going to call people's attention to. The first is that there's this great chart that shows you have these kind of big booms, busts, booms, and busts, right? Kind of the bull markets and bear markets, all the way up until the ETFs get approved. Since the ETFs have been approved, it has pretty much been a 45-degree angle grind up in price. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't still get some sort of blow off top in a correction, but it does mean that the market seems to have significantly changed in terms of structure. And we now have constant inflows into Bitcoin, which means that the volatility is being muted. You're not getting these huge run-ups in terms of 20, 30, 40% at a time. You're getting more kind of 5 to 10% moves up, but you're also not getting significant drawdowns. If you think we've really only had 130% drawdown in this bull market so far, in 2017, we had 6 of them. So that volatility is starting to come down and become something that is actually key to unlocking the institutional capital. They don't want an asset that goes up 10,000% and down 80%. What they want is they want something that continues to grind upwards. That's what Bitcoin has now become. It's very good for the existing holders. It's very good for eliciting new capital coming in the market. The second thing I want to call people's attention to is if you look at how much Bitcoin is being bought I can't remember if it's the ETFs and the treasury companies or it's just the treasury companies, but more than 600% of the daily incoming supply is being bought on a daily basis. So the way to think about this is you have 6 times more buyers showing up than quote unquote producers of the Bitcoin, right, on a daily basis. Well, if that's the case, Bitcoin's price has to continue to go up. There's more buyers than sellers. So what happens? The price has to adjust to accommodate everyone, especially because Bitcoin is a finite asset. And so from a structural standpoint, Bitcoin is looking excellent. And yes, Bitcoin is up something like 80 or 90% over the last year. Yes, Bitcoin is up about 25, 30% year to date, but Bitcoin is still in a bull market. Bitcoin is still coiling. And I think that we will see much higher prices through the end of the year. Now, does that mean that we're going to see $400,000 Bitcoin price? That seems a little bit less likely to me, but I could easily see us hitting $150,000 or so before the end of the year. Some people are not excited about that as a return. They say, what do you mean? I wanted to have hundreds of percent of upside. That's just tens of percent. But I still think that now what you are talking about is a $2.3, $2.4 trillion asset. And if it goes up, let's say something like 30 or 40%, that is a heck of a lot of market cap that's getting created. And so I would expect Bitcoin to use these things to its advantage. There's more buyers than sellers, and it's going to continue to go up in price over the coming months.
Okay. Let's talk tariffs. So Donald Trump met with the president of the European Commission, Ursula, and they announced a flat 15% tariff on European goods, EU goods.
Hilarious price.
Hundreds of billions in weapons and energy purchases, and the opening up of all the European countries. According to the terms, the EU agreed to a 15% across the board tariff, buying hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. military equipment, a $600 billion in investments in the U.S., buying $750 billion of U.S. energy and opening their markets to U.S. products.
One of the things that Trump said during his first campaign, which turned into a meme online, is we're going to win so much, you're going to get tired of winning, right? And it's just kind of one of these, it's like Eric Adams type line, right? It's just like, you're like, okay, like hilarious. Let's see if it actually happens, right? But hilarious line. This is what winning looks like in a international trade deal. Okay. I mean, this was like a 4-game sweep in the NBA championship. This was like showing up to the NFL Super Bowl and all of a sudden you're winning so bad that you take your starters out and you let your second string play their best players just to get your guys some time in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, we wiped the floor with the EU in this deal. They got nothing.
But why?
We got everything.
Why was he able to achieve this?
Because the EU is a museum and America is the future. That's point blank, period. People may not like it, but that's true. Today's episode is brought to you by Citizenship. If you're a Bitcoiner thinking about global mobility and securing a true plan B, listen up. Portugal is one of the most attractive golden visa programs in the world, and Citizenship has built the ideal pathway to get you there. They're behind the first Bitcoin ecosystem golden visa fund. It's a private equity fund that purchases Bitcoin via a local company. That gives you exposure to Bitcoin while qualifying you for the golden visa and citizenship in just 5 years. Plus, here's what makes this a no-brainer. Citizenship has the lowest fee structure of any golden visa fund in Portugal. And because their team handles everything in-house, you skip the usual friction and bloated fundraising costs of other funds. So if you're serious about sovereign flexibility, now's the moment to act. Go to citizenship.com/pomp and book a free strategy call with their team. Again, that's citizenship.com/pomp. Go check them out today. Today's episode is brought to you by Simple Mining. Have you ever been interested in mining Bitcoin? As a miner myself, I've been using Simple Mining for the past few months, and the experience has been nothing short of seamless. I mine with the pool of my choice, and the Bitcoin is sent directly to my wallet. Simple Mining, which is based in Cedar Falls, Iowa, offers a premium white glove service designed for everyone, from individual enthusiasts to large-scale miners. They've been in business for 4 years and currently operate more than 20,000 Bitcoin miners, including mine. Their electricity is over 65% renewable thanks to the abundance of wind energy. Not only do they simplify mining with their top-notch hosting and on-site repair services, but they also help you benefit financially by running your operations as a business. This approach offers 100% bonus depreciation to optimize the profitability of your investment. Do you ever worry about the completion of maintaining your mining equipment? They've got you covered there too. For the first 12 months, all repairs are included at no extra cost. If you experience any downtime, they'll credit you for it as well. And if your miners aren't profitable at the amount, simply pause them with no penalties. When you're ready to upgrade or adjust your setup, their exclusive marketplace provides a seamless way to resell your equipment. Join me and many satisfied miners who have simplified their Bitcoin mining journey. You can even get started today with the 7-day miner trial. Visit simplemining.io/pomp to get started today. That's simplemining.io/pomp to get started today. With Simple Mining, they make it simple. We have better technology. We have better capital markets. We have more innovation. We have a much more sought after kind of consumer base. And everyone wants their products to come to America. Not that many people in America are worried about selling their products in Europe. And so what we got here was literally almost everything we asked for. Let's go through these things. They are going to buy hundreds of billions of dollars of military equipment from the United States. Do you think anyone is better at building military equipment than the United States?
No.
Probably not. Are there some good companies in Europe that build military equipment? Of course. They actually, some of the defense contractors and defense companies in Europe turned into meme stocks earlier this year. Some people don't know that. But America is the best when it comes to building military equipment. So the EU, who, by the way, a lot of their countries, they're real worried and they keep yelling and screaming and begging us to come and protect them. So now they got to buy our military equipment. Makes sense. Have them pay for a service that we are providing to them. Simple. The second thing is energy. The EU has made, collectively, a bunch of their countries have made absolutely asinine, idiotic decisions when it comes to energy independence. Countries like Germany, literally, people go back and remember, Germany was shutting down their power plants. They were trying to go to like wind and solar and all this crazy nonsense. And guess what happened? Russia-Ukraine occurred, and all of a sudden, Germany said, we're not going to buy the Russian oil. Okay, fine. You know what ended up happening? There's a bunch of studies that show that Germany actually was still buying Russian oil, but they were buying it from China. So Russia was sending the oil to China. China was literally putting the Chinese flag on the barrel of oil and then selling it to Germany at 2 times higher prices. And so if you make dumb decisions, you're going to end up in this situation. So now the US is an energy exporter and Europe needs us. Imagine how crazy it is that you are buying energy from the United States. There's literally an ocean between us, rather than being able to source it inside of the European Union, a bunch of countries all working together, or buy it from other people who are on the same continent as you or in a general geographic area. Shouldn't these EU countries be getting it from places that are resource rich, like the Russias of the world, like the Indias of the world, like the Chinas of the world? But instead, they're now going to come to us because we've done a great job. We are drilling for oil. We're producing renewables. We have battery storage. We have all these things that we've been working on that are putting us in a good spot. So the US is winning on that front. Now, they're going to pay a 15% tariff. Remember everyone who said they're never going to agree. They're never going to do the deal. They're never going to blah, 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 whatever. Bada bing, bada boom, bam, bing, bong, boom. Now all of a sudden they're paying a 15% tariff. Why are they doing that? Right. Because we know that they need to access our market. So if they want access to our market, we made 2 demands. We said, you got to pay a 15% tariff. Why is it that you get free access to our market while we are subsidizing so much about your countries? Now, again, they help us too. They're our allies, right? This is not a zero-sum game, but what we have been living in is a situation where Europe has been taking advantage of America, and America finally woke up and said, wait a second, we're the big brother. You're the little brother. Why are you taking advantage of us? If you want to be our ally, let's get this on a more even playing field. And so now Europe's going to pay this 15% tariff. Now, in reverse, America was previously prevented from bringing a bunch of our products and services to Europe. Think of how crazy that is. They had free, full, unfettered access to America, and we, not even a tariff, we just weren't allowed to sell some of our products there. Well, we're going to play around now. Let's get an even playing field. So now they're going to open up those US markets. And so now American producers can go and sell into these markets. And so what I think ends up happening here is people will look and say, like, how the heck did the White House, the Trump administration get this deal done? And here's the thing that I think is what nobody wants to really talk about, is that in Europe, there's a lot of weak leadership. Point blank, period. I think that there's a lot of Europeans that would tell you, regardless of what country they live in, that they're not super happy with their leadership. They don't feel like they have strong leadership. Go on Twitter, go on Reddit, go on any forum where the people can talk, and they will talk about nonstop how much crime is occurring, how much they feel like the things that their country used to stand for is falling to the wayside, how much they feel like their quality of life is getting worse, how much they feel like there's all sorts of different things that are changing about their country, and they don't think that they're good changes. And so you say to yourself, okay, well, if you have that view of leadership, and then you have somebody, again, whether you like Donald Trump or not, right? I think there's plenty of things to like about him. I think there's plenty of things to critique about him. Same thing with Joe Biden, right? Some things to like about him, some things to critique about him. I don't care about which political allegiance they have, etc. I just look at what they're doing. And what I know is that we sent the leader of the free world over there, and he kicked their ass in the negotiation. Now, why do I think that that happened? Well, I think they have weak leadership. I think that we have stronger leadership. But also there's things like this. I don't know how many people saw Donald Trump went to, I think it was Scotland, and he has a property there. Trump, whatever it's called.
The golf course.
The golf course, yeah. And the European leaders who are supposed to be hosting Donald Trump in their country went to his golf course, and he greeted them on the steps. It was like they're showing up out of the car and he's coming outside to shake their hand like, welcome to my home, right? Imagine in the United States of America, Donald Trump or Joe Biden or anyone not having the other political leader come meet them at their government building, their place, whatever, right? It's the symbolic kind of aspect of this. And so we literally had our leader go to their country, and then we invited them into his home as if he was the leader of their country. So again, it sounds stupid. It sounds like, oh, that's like dumb. It doesn't really matter. But if you send your leader to another country and you make all of that EU leadership come to him, who's the boss? Yeah, who's actually driving the conversation here?
The image really matters, I think, in people's minds.
So here's the part that I think is maybe the most interesting out of all of this, is that the EU is going to be better off for this deal. Because there's a alternative reality, an experiment that we're not going to run, thankfully for them, which is the United States under Trump could have said, good luck, guys. We're out. Have fun. Now, there's a good argument to be like, that's not how you treat your allies, right? There's a good argument to be like, that's not diplomatic. It's a good argument to be like, that's not how you win on the geopolitical stage, right? So there's a lot of critiques with that, but that is a potential thing. There's this great quote in the Financial Times. In the Financial Times,
let me read it for you.
They're not big fans of capitalism or the things that America stands for.
Well, but they're quoting an ambassador said.
Correct. Go ahead, read the quote. This is an incredible quote.
There's no hiding the fact that the EU was rolled over by the Trump juggernaut. Trump worked out exactly where our pain threshold is.
I mean, that summarizes the entire situation, right? Is you had a negotiation going on and one person was able to find where's the pain point, and they started to press on it, and the EU cried,
what was the pain point?
Well, let's jack up the tariffs. Let's start talking about these defense contracts, like all these little things that people are like, oh, it's all posturing. It's all duh, of course. And so all the people who are saying the tariffs are a negotiating tactic, imagine the negotiating tactic worked and we left them in place.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, what do I actually wish we could live in? I wish we could live in a situation where there was complete, true free trade. Yeah. There'd be no tariffs in either direction. We would have complete unfettered trade. We do not live in that world. We need to stop pretending that that's the world that we were living in. And instead, we were living in a world where a bunch of little brothers were running around taking advantage of the big brother. And now the big brother has stood up and said, wait a minute, I'm going to stop having you guys yapping at my ankles. And instead, I'm now going to explain to you who the big brother is. And so what hopefully will happen here is that we get to a more even playing field, right? And if we can get to that even playing field, how amazing would it be for the American producers and American companies to be able to sell into Europe, and the European producers and companies to be able to sell into America? That would be excellent. It would be better for both sides of the ocean. But that's not the world we live in. And so again, EU and America, you know, what's the saying? in America, we're back-to-back world champs?
No, I don't know that saying.
You don't know that?
No.
2 world wars. We're undefeated. Back-to-back world champs, right? Okay. Well, now we're stringing together a lot of wins when it comes to geopolitical negotiations. And so Japan, EU, I mean, pretty much at this point, we're getting almost everything that we're asking for on the global stage. The question is, and I don't have an answer to this, right? Look, there's things I have a strong opinion about. I don't have a strong opinion about this. What are the repercussions? What are the negative side effects of these trade deals, right? It's very clear what the positives are and what we're getting. What's unclear is 5 years from now, when we look back and we say, okay, we get the benefit of hindsight now, what are the downsides? What are the trade-offs that we made? Those are not as clear at the moment. And so it doesn't mean that there's zero. It just means that there are going to be things that we will look back at, and hopefully the good things outweigh the bad things. It looks like that's going to happen here. But I do think that on this global stage. Now, one other thing I want to talk about real quick is if you're the EU, $750 million, I think, for energy, $600 million for investment in America, hundreds of billions of dollars for military equipment, right? You know, I got a small brain, but a good memory. Those things, where are they going to get the money? Where are these countries going to get the money? Oh, I forgot. They're going to print it. They are going to print money and they're going to hand it over to us for all these goods and services. Yeah. So guess what's going to happen? Global M2 supply, global liquidity is going to explode. The more trade deals that we sign, the more money printing that other countries are going to do, which means liquidity is going to go up, which guess what? If you're an American, get long and chill. Just get long assets and chill. Stocks, Bitcoin, gold, it's all going higher because they all got to print money now to end up actually servicing these deals. And so the more clarity on trade deals equals more money printing. More money printing means that Americans are going to benefit from asset prices going higher. And so will Europeans. The Europeans who own assets are going to do better. The Europeans who don't own assets, they're not going to do as well. And so investors are going to keep winning globally as long as we keep striking trade deals that force these other countries to make investments in America to the tunes of collectively trillions of dollars because they're going to have to print it to be able to give it to us.
Today's episode is brought to you by Polkadot. Polkadot offers secure, scalable, and decentralized blockchain technology that perfectly aligns with the needs of innovative projects. It was developed by Gavin Wood, one of the co-founders of Ethereum and the creator of Solidity. Polkadot aims to build an internet where users have full control over their data and their applications. Polkadot offers tons of unique features, a shared security model, along with the new auction model and significant implementations like ASIC banking. Given these characteristics, it's easy to understand why Polkadot is gaining more and more traction in the cryptocurrency world. Some people even are talking about it as the AWS of Web3. Now, companies such as Mythical Games, Astor Network, and over 50 other independent blockchains with hundreds of applications already leverage Polkadot's technology to power their platforms. If you're looking for a reliable, scalable, and cutting-edge solution, Polkadot seems to be the top choice for industry players. Go check them out today at polkadot.com.
What's going on, guys? One of the most important trends in all of finance is the rise of the retail investor, what I call a self-directed investor. These are people, they don't have a financial advisor or a stockbroker. They simply go and learn on the internet, and then they direct their own capital directly into the market. These people are taking Wall Street by storm. And so I'm going to bring all of us together on September 12th in New York City for the Independent Investor Summit. It's a one-day event that I'm hosting where I'm going to have a bunch of my friends come together and talk on stage, explain what their thoughts on the market are, what their best investment ideas are, and how they think you should change up your portfolio to better position yourself for the future. I've got Jeff Park, Jordy Visser, Darius Dale, Chris Camello, the Nigerian brothers, and many, many more that are all coming. These people are incredibly smart. They've made lots of institutions, lots of money throughout their careers, and they now are going to bring this information and share it directly with you, an independent, self-directed investor. So September 12th, the Independent Investor Summit in New York City. Please go into the description, click on the link there, get your ticket, and I'll see you in Manhattan on September 12th.
It's estimated that these tariffs with the EU could bring in $3 trillion of revenue for the United States. That's a lot.
It's a lot. That's crazy. That's 10% of the national debt. In what? Probably like 5 years or something, right? Does it put a timeline on it?
Hold on a second. Let me see.
It's probably not that long, right? Because again, it goes back to
over the next decade.
Next decade. All right. So there you go. 10 years. We're going to do $3 trillion. Now, by the way, that's not going to solve our national debt problem, but that's just the EU. Then we do it with Japan. Then we do it with India. Then we do it with Canada. We do it with Mexico. We do it with South American countries.
What happened with China?
China?
Yeah.
Oh, we still negotiate.
Anthony acts like he's in the negotiating table.
No, listen, there's not a lot of stuff I pay attention to. I'm paying attention to a lot of this stuff because, look, I took a huge risk earlier this year. People forget. April, well, actually, it really started in January.
Oh, we remember.
I started talking about the fact that I thought that there was a very good shot that we could balance the budget. Now, I am less confident of that today than I was in January, but I will comment that in June, we had a surplus. It's not the first time that we've ever had that, right? But we had a surplus where we actually took in more revenue than we spent. Very good sign. So if you go back to January, when we started talking about all this tariff stuff, at first I was very clear. I said, look, I think tariffs are inflationary, blah, 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 whatever. And then I sat down one weekend, and Polina probably wasn't very excited about this, but I went deep down the rabbit hole, as I tend to do sometimes. And I came back up from the rabbit hole. I had my hard hat on, some ashes all over me. I had my little light on, from the mining expedition that I had gone on, a little pickaxe. And I said, you know what? Let me eat a sandwich and think about this for a second. I don't think that the tariffs are going to be inflationary. And then I said, I actually think so strongly about it, I'm willing to say it publicly. And I started talking about it in February, March, etc. April 2nd came in. If you remember, they came out with their science projects. Remember like the big poster boards they came out and they were talking about all the big numbers and stuff. I have a tweet from April 3rd when everyone was full on panic. Market was down significantly. People were talking about Great Depression. They were talking about Black Friday. Shelves are going to be empty. The world's going to end. All this stuff. And I tweeted and I said, stocks and Bitcoin going back to all-time highs before the end of the year. Very likely. And so that was a huge reputational risk to the point where, Polina knows this, we have people that we work with on a daily basis who are like, hey man, there's reporters at Bloomberg. They're reaching out to me asking if you've gone crazy. There's reporters reaching out to me saying, does he really believe this stuff? Yeah, I did. And I was right. I'm not right all the time, but on this one, I was right. And so if you fast forward to now, what I believe is happening here is the fact that the tariffs are not inflationary. The tariffs also have significantly improved our negotiating leverage on a global stage. And we are going to see a renaissance from an economic standpoint in America. And if this continues, we will get that economic boom, the economic golden age that everyone was so excited about. I believe that we are watching that happen now. And so if we continue, just think about it for a second. How crazy is it? We are living through a time where decentralized digital currency is taking hold globally. We have reusable rockets that are going into space, coming back down to Earth, and we're catching them with chopsticks. We have self-driving cars where there is not a human in the car driving it. It is just moving around all by itself. We have tunnels. They just announced another one in Tennessee that you can now use to go underground rather than drive on the street. We have genetic editing. We have drones. We have all kinds of hypersonic, cool, amazing, innovative technology at warp speed we are bringing into the world. To live right now is got to be the single most exciting point in all of human history. And if we can create the right conditions that will actually lead to more and more entrepreneurs starting these businesses, more and more people being able to build companies that can solve these problems, it means that we are going to crank on GDP growth. And if we crank on GDP growth and we also can bring in tariff revenue, we can cut expenses, et cetera, we can get to a much better situation economically. The question is, are they going to stop printing money? Because right now, $500 billion or so, they've increased the national debt just in the month of July. That's not good. Right? So it's not all rosy. There's still challenges. There's still things I don't like. But on some of the big things, I think we're heading in the right direction. In 2 minutes, can we end on this? Sure. USA, still number one. For what? The US dollar is now used in nearly 50% of global payments, the highest level in more than 12 years. Ryan Detrick points out that foreigners are not only buying our debt, but buying stocks as well. Will Clemente posted a chart that stablecoin transactions are up and to the right. Political commentators changing their tune. People saying... Bill Maher. Yeah. Hey, listen. He said... Bill Maher quote or clip. Yeah. He should get credit for it.
He said, look, the stock market is at record highs. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I would have thought, and I got to own it, that these tariffs were going to effing sink this economy by this time. And they didn't.
Bill Maher, sign of intelligence. New information changed his mind. I got no problem.
And took accountability for what he said.
100%. Look.
Because usually people get new facts and they just change their interpretation of the fact, not their belief. But he
changed. Look, I got nothing but respect for Bill Maher after seeing that clip. Kudos to him. It goes back to, again, the United States collectively as a country, we have constructed the greatest economy ever known to mankind. Point blank, period. It's got problems. It's not perfect. We need things to improve. We should accelerate. I get all of it. But there ain't no better system. There ain't no better environment to go and do this stuff. Capitalism and democracy are superior to every other system we've ever tried. And so when you look at the United States of America, people want to come here. People want to invest here. People want to use our currency. So there's two ways to look at it. Half glass empty? Well, a lot of problems. We should do better. We should improve it. We should put ourselves in a better situation. Half glass full? Still the best one we got.
Glass half full.
Whatever. Still true. Like I said, I make mistakes all the time. I'm not that smart. But I got a good memory and a couple opinions. Smart. And so when you look around the world, if you had $100 to your name and you got to invest it in one country for the next decade, where are you going to put it? You going to go put it in XYZ emerging market? I don't think so. You going to go put it in some European economy? I don't think so. You're going to stick that $100 down to the last penny in the United States of America, and you're going to say, boys and girls, let's do what we've been doing for 250 years. Let's run the table and let's go build an even better economy. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, at some point, will that end? Sure. But the demise of America, the destruction of the U.S. economy, all false advertising. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to postpone all of your obituaries because we're still the best. And we are on the rise. We're still climbing. And so whether people like it or not, they can call it American exceptionalism. They can call it arrogance. They can call it whatever they want. If you had $100 to your name and you had one place to invest it for the next decade, you're putting it in America. And if you say you're going to put it anywhere else, then do it. Then do it. Then go put your money in whatever emerging market if you think it's going to do better than the United States of America over the next decade. But I don't think that very many people would do it. And so that is why the American capital markets continue to be the most liquid, the deepest, the most sought after. That's why foreigners are buying record levels of our debt and also our equities. That's why everyone is trying to come here. People say, no, they're not trying to come here. Be like, listen.
They're trying to come.
We let people come here illegally, and there was a line out the door. Imagine if we just opened the gates and said everyone can come here legally. That was just the people who wanted to come here so bad that they were willing to skip the line. And so you go back to this idea of what America could do that would be really powerful. Let's take the American dream. Let's take the American economic machine and let's export it globally. Let's go use it to actually pull up other people alongside us. One of the things that America does better than anywhere else in the world, we do not pull up the ladder behind us. We try our best, even sometimes to our own detriment. We help other countries. We help other economies. We help other companies, sometimes even when it hurts us. And so it goes back to this whole thing here in New York City. They got this guy saying that billionaires shouldn't exist, all this stuff. Jeff Bezos solved a lot of problems. Elon Musk solved a lot of problems. Go down the line. Most people who made $1 billion, they solved real problems for real people, and they got economically rewarded for it. Let's go get more billionaires. Let's go help every single person in America become a millionaire, not because we're debasing the currency, but because let's educate them on how to do that so that they can benefit, so that they can achieve financial security. And people say that's a pipe dream. I say, well, that's what Bitcoin does. Tell me somebody who bought Bitcoin 2015, 2016, didn't sell. Tell me how their life's going. How little bit of money did you have to put in, right? Median home in America used to be 280,000. Now it's like 430,000. Everything got more expensive. Bitcoin used to be 664 Bitcoin. Now it's like 5 to buy that same median home. You could have put a very small amount of money into Bitcoin, and because the purchasing power continued to appreciate, it actually puts you in a better position. It's the best savings technology created in the world. It will continue to be the best savings technology of our lifetime. And I think that you don't have to put everything into it. Should be risk management, be smart, be intelligent, understand what your situation is. But owning Bitcoin is now safer than not owning Bitcoin. And I think that is a lesson that people around the world are starting to learn.
Perfect. Thank you.
See you guys next week.